It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Walking Dead spin-off Dead City. We finally have a full trailer for season 1 of Dead City and it actually looks pretty amazing. We're going to break the trailer down here. We're also going to take a look at a pretty epic poster that they released for season 1 of Dead City, which features Negan and Maggie. Lucille is sort of back. Not really, but sort of. We're going to talk about that. And also, we're going to talk about the trailer, which has a lot of epic, atmospheric city shots of a post apocalyptic New York City, specifically Manhattan. So that's awesome. But we also have confirmation about the variant walkers being a part of Dead City. We actually see not only running walkers in Dead City, like we saw in The Walking Dead World Beyond, but we also see mutated walkers, which is actually super cool and interesting, something unique for the universe. There's some pretty interesting connections as far as inspirations. We definitely see that this particular show has a lot of inspirations from not only The Last of Us, which is known for its environment and atmosphere, but also for its variant type of monsters. But also, Dead City took inspiration from another post apocalyptic story, Resident Evil. So that's definitely super interesting. So we're going to break all of that down when we return. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with this breakdown. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. Alright, so let's take a look at the key art or poster first. This looks pretty epic. I mean, we already got the poster itself, which didn't feature Negan and Maggie. It's the same one with the Statue of Liberty on the ground in the middle of New York. And it's obviously a post-apocalyptic environment, so that's epic. But we now have Negan and Maggie on the poster. Looks pretty cool. We obviously see Maggie is rocking her new feature look with the leather jacket that she has on and the knife, so that's super awesome. But we see Negan giving Maggie a sort of side eye, which is definitely super interesting. It's teasing at some sort of tension between those two characters in this spin-off, so that's cool. We see that a lot in the trailer, or actually we don't see it a lot, but we get a big tease of it in the trailer, so that's cool. But also Negan has some sort of a metal pipe or something. It's not really Lucille, it's not a baseball bat, but the way he's holding it is definitely giving us a lot of OG Negan vibes. So that's pretty freaking awesome. And obviously, the title that they have on there is Keep Your Enemies Close, which is obviously the phrase keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So that's cool. And it's obviously referring to Negan being Maggie's enemy. But that's pretty much everything. Obviously, the premiere is June 18th on AMC and earlier, I think, on AMC Plus. Not much more to break down here. The trailer starts with this shot of someone looking through binoculars at the city. Obviously, they're looking at the island, which they refer to a couple times in the trailer, which is obviously Manhattan. But in the voiceover, Negan says, "You want to tell me where the hell we're going?" So it looks like he doesn't know what the journey is. He doesn't know what this thing is about, but Maggie does. And we see them here looking at what we just saw with the binoculars. There's a boat there, which they're going to use to get to the island. We see them here. Now, obviously, there's someone else with them. And I think what's going on is that someone who knows the area well, they might have paid him or something along those lines. We see a lot of walkers and bodies in the water, so that's epic. We see Negan, Maggie, and the new character here looking at Manhattan. And then in the voiceover, Maggie finally tells Negan where they're going, which is Manhattan. And then Negan says, Jesus Christ. And then we get this pretty awesome city shot of a post-apocalyptic Manhattan. We see a better shot of it during the day here. Looks pretty epic. I mean, this doesn't really look like a Walking Dead shot to me, because we have never seen something like this before. This is unique, brand new, and I'm definitely super hyped, super excited. Looks pretty epic. This is something you expect to see in like World War Z or like Last of Us, but you don't really expect to see something like this in a Walking Dead universe show, which is cool. We have this one as well. Now, this reminded me a lot actually of the second episode of Last of Us on HBO. We had a similar type of shot, so I definitely think that this was inspired to an extent by that. Maybe not directly, but I'm sure that in the Last of Us game they did something similar as well, and that might have been inspiration for what they're doing here. But this looks pretty epic. We have this pretty cool shot, an aerial shot of New York City, Manhattan. We see all the cars and a post-apocalyptic view of the city, so that's pretty awesome. And then we have this shot of a few walkers in the streets. Now, one negative thing I have to say is when we get that distant shot of the city, it's epic. But when it's closer, you don't really see it. You know what I mean? Like, this looks way too clean. It doesn't look post apocalyptic. They just threw a bunch of debris on the ground and that was it. So, that is a little part that frustrates me about this because it seems like for the shots that are from a distance, they're gonna go all out and give us a post apocalyptic environment that feels genuine. But when they go closer, it doesn't look like they're following the same consistency. We see this shot as well of the walkers, and then we have Negan and Maggie here looking at something, which we're going to see in a bit. But Negan says, "Can you at least tell me what the hell we're doing out here?" So he's questioning why they're there in this dangerous place, and we actually see they're looking at the bridge that has collapsed. This is also a pretty awesome atmospheric shot that I really enjoyed seeing in this trailer. Then we have Maggie finally telling Negan what's going on. She says, "A few weeks back, I got raided." And then we have flashbacks of that happening, of her getting raided. She screams Hershel while she's being taken away. And then Hershel says, "Mom." So this is where Hershel was kidnapped. And this is why they're there. They're there to get Hershel Jr. back. Now, one thing I will say is I've been predicting that the storyline with Hershel's disappearance is separate from what we're going to see with Negan having to face his past and everything, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like the person who took Hershel Jr. is actually the person that's the antagonist of the show, and that person has a connection to Negan. So it looks like everything kind of comes together like that. I will have to say though, that's a little convenient. Like, what are the chances that they will not just take Maggie? Why would they take the kid? You know what I mean? So it seems like they have to do a bit of explanation to justify why everything happens the way it does and keep it realistic and not be too much of a stretch. But then we have this shot of Negan saying they took your kid. So basically reacting to the news that he just got. And then Maggie looking back at Negan here. And then we have this other shot of Manhattan. Not much to say. The only thing is this doesn't look quite as epic as the other one. It looks too clean again. You know what I'm saying about it not being consistent? Like, this is not as run down and as apocalyptic as the other shots, even the city shots that we just got earlier. But then we have this shot of 3 people in a vehicle. Now, one of these guys in the back is actually the guy that helped Negan and Maggie, or it looks like that's him, which is interesting. But on the other side, the person in front, on the passenger side, is actually a new character who is a bounty hunter who's been hired to find Negan. We see that here. He's somewhere where there's a lot of people. It looks like it's a motel or a bar or something. He says, "Have you seen this man?" with a wanted poster of Negan, which is definitely super interesting and intriguing. And it goes back to what I said earlier about there being a connection between the guy that kidnapped Hershel and Negan from his past life. And based on reveals that came out a few weeks ago, we know that what's going to happen is the person is going to be an ex-savior who is coming back to punish Negan for the stuff that he's done to them. And he hired this guy, the bounty hunter, to bring Negan to him. And then we have this shot of Negan, Maggie, and the other guy that I just mentioned It looks like this is the same guy as who we just saw in the back of the car. Could be wrong, but it looks like him. But then we have this shot of Negan, Maggie, and the new guy. In the voiceover, the bounty hunter says, goes by the name of Negan. So he's just telling everyone who he's looking for. And then we have this title card which says From the Walking Dead universe. And then we have Negan and Maggie on a rooftop. And then we have them here reacting to something that they're seeing. And then we have that here. So it looks like this is actually a stadium. And we have a bunch of walkers in front of the stadium, which is definitely super interesting. Now we will see the inside of that stadium in a little bit, but we see all of these walkers in front. They're trying to get to someone, so it looks like someone is trying to escape. I'm assuming that they have like a shield or something that's protecting them from the walkers. And then we have this shot of Negan. He says, how do I fit into this, Maggie? So asking why he's involved. This is not quite the reaction I was expecting. I was expecting Negan to be really in favor of helping Maggie when Hershel Jr. is involved, but it doesn't look like that's quite the direction they're going with it, which is interesting. But then we have this, which is again the flashback of this man's men kidnapping Hershel Jr. In the voiceover, Maggie says, the man who's got Hershel. We have her here in that flashback, and then she says, you know him. And then we'll learn later that this man's name is actually the Croat, or he goes by the name of the Croat. And when he speaks, he has an accent, so I'm assuming that by the Croat, they mean the person from Croatia, the country. Could be wrong, but I think that's why they call him the Croat. But then we have this shot of Negan saying, you need me. So basically teasing Maggie a little bit about needing him. And then we have Maggie reacting to that. We have this shot of, I think, the Croat entering some sort of a building. And then we see him here. And then we have him here as well. He says Negan is on the island. So it looks like he has heard that Negan got on the island and they're gonna basically go after him. Now it looks like he's talking to someone else who may be in charge of his group or community. This female here. The reason why I say that is because it looks like she's in charge. She has better clothing. It looks like she's sitting in a chair at a desk. So it looks like she has more power than the other guy. This female character actually reminds me a lot of Pamela Milton from Commonwealth, from the original show. So I wonder if they're gonna go a direction where there's some sort of similarity between who she is and who Pamela was. We have this shot as well of Negan in some sort of a building, and then we have Negan here looking at someone with a helmet on, and then we see Maggie here with the guy in the helmet in the back, and obviously this is either someone working for the Croat or he's the Croat himself. And then we have Maggie here saying we need to go. They get ambushed by some people. We have Maggie here. And then we have these people who attack them. Not sure what type of weapon they have. It looks like an interesting weapon. But we will learn that these are actually people not sent by the Croats, but these are basically people that are stuck there. And it looks like they're going to help Negan and Maggie. So it looks like along the way, Negan and Maggie find some allies to fight against the Croat and his men. We have Negan and Maggie here. Negan says, you don't know us, we don't know you. So basically asking or pleading to be left alone or something like that. And then we see that they actually joined them, Negan and Maggie. We have this big muscular guy saying, you get on the island, you don't get off. The Croat, he made sure of that. So it looks like they're actually stuck there. There isn't a lot of ways to get out. And the Croat controls how you get out, which begs the question, how did Negan and Maggie even get in? But that's beside the point. And then Maggie says he's the reason we're here. We have the Croat here, and it looks like he's in a cage or looking at someone in a cage. We'll see a cage in a little bit, so I'm thinking that that's connected. We see this one. I don't know what this is exactly, but it looks like they're throwing heads or body parts in some sort of a liquid container. Not sure what they're doing, but we see that here. Thinking that these are the Croats guys doing this, but I could be wrong. And then we have Maggie, Negan, and this group of people that they just met. And then we have this girl here saying, you want to go to the cycle. We can help you with that. Not sure what the cycle is, but I'm assuming that that's where the Croat is. And that's where they need to go to find the Croat. And then we have this shot of Negan, Maggie, and the people that they met, their allies. And then we have them fighting a few guys here. The guy in the helmet again. I don't think this is the same guy. It might be, but it could be someone different. But the big guy in Negan and Maggie's team breaks this guy's neck, and another shot shows Negan throwing someone off the balcony. And then we have this shot of the Croat here with Hershel Jr., and it looks like he's torturing him or something like that, which is definitely interesting. Obviously, they cast someone new for Hershel Jr. because he's much older now. And then we have Maggie here saying, we get to him, we get him to tell me where my son is, or we kill him. I think she might be referring to the Croat himself or his guys. We have Negan and Maggie here. Not much to break down. They're in the city. And then we have this shot of the stadium, which we saw a bunch of times. And then we see Negan here saying, what the hell is that? And then we actually see Negan, Maggie, and the people that they're with in the stadium that we saw. It looks like an MMA cage in the middle, and they're surrounded by walkers. And then we have a bunch of walkers getting in, Maggie killing one here. So this might be like a gladiator type situation going on, or they might have just got in and they were ambushed by the walkers or something. We have this shot of the bounty hunter talking to Maggie. He says, I don't know why you're with the man I'm looking for, referring to Negan, but I will get to you. So that's definitely super interesting. It's like a cat and mouse game between them by the looks of it. And then we have this shot of Negan ziplining from one building to the other, which is cool. Falls into this place. We have Maggie there too, so it looks like they went from one place to the other using the zip lines, maybe to get over the water or something like that. What is interesting is that it looks like there's some fight between Negan and Maggie. We have Negan putting a knife to Maggie's throat, so that's definitely super interesting. Looks like a showdown between them. And then we get to the super interesting stuff. We get this walker on a rooftop running to get to someone. This actually reminded me of World War Z. The scene where they're on the rooftop, the helicopter is there, and they're trying to get out with the running zombies that are basically jumping on the helicopter. So that's definitely super intriguing. But this definitely proves that we will see the variant walkers, at least the running walkers, which we saw in the Walking Dead spin-off World Beyond. We have more shots of the running zombie, which I just talked about, which is cool. We have Negan here running. He's with a new character, a new young female character. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that's interesting. We have this trap, and then we have this shot of the person in charge, the one that was talking to the Croat, saying the ending is all that matters. I'm thinking that this is related to them finding Negan, like that's their ending. We have this shot of the new character that was with Negan and Maggie driving an ambulance. We see that here as well. We have Maggie driving some vehicle here, and then we have Negan with a match lit in a dark place right here. And then we have Negan, Maggie, and the new guy that's with them saying, we got to find a way out. And then we have this shot of the bounty hunter with a sniper rifle. And then we have this shot of Maggie finding some sort of a tunnel. There's a pile of walkers. And then it looks like Maggie is going through a tunnel or pipe to find a way. And then she gets up. And then we have this shot of the Croat saying, I think you're going to like it here. I don't think he's talking to Maggie or Negan. I think he's talking to Hershel Jr. But then we get this shot. This looks pretty epic. It looks like there's a bunch of walkers glued together. Or it looks like the walker has like 5 hands or something, which is definitely super interesting. We have this mutated type of walker, so that's super interesting. I don't know what to expect with this. I mean, are these just regular walkers? Are these the Walking Dead's version of bloaters or something like that? Or are they more like a clicker in the Walking Dead universe? I don't know. But these are definitely some sort of mutated variant walker. And then we have Maggie here looking at the walker and being pretty freaking afraid because they've never seen such a thing. They don't know how to deal with it. But this is what I was saying earlier. This gives me Resident Evil vibes. So I'm definitely intrigued to see if that's also a direction they're going to go with Maggie's character in this particular spin-off. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. I hope you enjoyed this trailer breakdown. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.